Hey folks, today I'm going to show how this EGR valve works and how to test it. Now there's other ways to test this while it's on the motor, but this video here is specifically for how to test it with it being outside. So you can figure out if you want to replace this before you put it back on. The easiest way to test this valve, in my opinion, is to hook up a vacuum gauge and start pumping vacuum. And while I'm doing that, what happens? See how that valve opened up? And what that's going to do is allow for exhaust gas coming in through here to go around and go into the intake. Now, with the valve open, you can stick a piece of hose in there and try to blow through there. You should be able to feel airflow through here. Okay, now when I let go of the vacuum, plunger goes down. It's that simple. This valve is under the carburetor or spacer. The valve is connected to the spacer that's under the carburetor, and this was used in the 80s trucks and maybe in the 90s. But specifically, this is for a bullnose truck, 80 to 86. That's what the information is most applicable for. So how this works is the function of this valve is to let exhaust gas back in through the intake. And the valve is actually closed when you first turn on the vehicle. And it waits and it opens up when it's fully warmed up. Now how that works is if you look close to your thermostat, here's the housing. And there's a vacuum controlled valve usually that sits on it or on the intake where the coolant passage is. So this valve here, this is basically a vacuum controlled solenoid valve. You can call it a solenoid or a valve, whatever. But basically when the coolant gets hot enough, this valve opens up. So if you have engine manifold here, vacuum here, that vacuum gets distributed to these ports here. So what will happen is one of these ports is connected to that right there. And what that tells is when this valve gets vacuum, it'll basically let exhaust gas flow from here to over here into the intake. Okay, so now what that is connected to is right here on the intake manifold. That is a exhaust gas flow pathway from the head. So this hole here, that's where is connected to the head exhaust. This is exhaust recirculation or crossover. This is actually the exhaust crossover path, and that connects straight to here and to there into the intake. So when this valve is open, exhaust gas flows straight into the intake, or a portion of the exhaust gas. Okay, now how to test this? All I've done here is hooked up a Harbor Freight vacuum gauge, and I have put on a hose clamp on this side because for this to work I have to have a hose clamp. With the engine you don't need a clamp because the engine makes infinite vacuum, so there's no need for that clamp there. But with this clamp pumped here, the easiest way, in my opinion, to test this is to have a hose, vacuum hose, and try to squeeze it in there. So you got to do turns here and there and kind of get it all the way up to here. And then it won't be a perfect test, but try to blow through here. Okay, with no vacuum, you will not be able to blow through it. Basically, anything that you blow through, it's not going to be a free-flowing thing there. So most of it is going to come back through there. But when you suck vacuum, like so, when you create vacuum, you'll be able to blow through this really easily. And you'll actually see some air come through here if you blow hard enough. And you got some gunk or something, you'll be able to see it move a little bit. That's the easiest way to test this in my opinion, with the valve out. Now there's other ways to test this with it being on the motor. So basically what I've heard is if you pull vacuum on it, it'll cause the idle to stumble, and you unplug the side that goes to the vacuum actuated valve.